Hey guys, this is Josh Talevski, and today I'm going to be walking you through some of the things that we do statistically with Banana Ball and our statistics. So part one's going to cover these handy-dandy score sheets that we use to track our games as they're being played in real time. And then the second part will be the logging of these box scores into our Excel spreadsheets. All right, we're going to look at a brief overview of our box scores from this game that I have selected. We have two score sheets, one that keeps track of things for the party animals, one that keeps track of things for the bananas, as they are the two teams who played on our game, which was on September the 14th, 2024. So we've got this top column, which keeps track of some basic information. Of course, we have our date at the top. We also have the start time of our ball game, which was 7:04. Our end time, 9:36. So this game was over 2 hours long, but the reason was because we reached the ninth and final inning before the 2-hour time limit expired. And then this game actually featured Showdowns, so that added to the time in the ball game as well. Now, a couple other things that we keep track of on this sheet. What stadium we played at. We played in Grayson that night and the city and state. Coincidentally, we were in Savannah, Georgia for that one. There is an attendance column. I probably should have filled that out that night, but we definitely do like to keep track of how many people were in attendance at our ball games. We also have our coaches. So I have Gillum and Virant, the Bananas coaches, and then Mike Vivacis, who was coaching for the Party Animals. Got a little section for our home plate umpire for the night, who was Vincent Chapman, and then our field umpires, and then, of course, the two teams that played. So the Party Animals were the away team in the ball game, and then our home team that night was the Savannah Bananas. And so over here is where we actually get to look at the scoring of our Banana Ball game. So we look at the first inning. The Party Animals were held scoreless in the top of the first inning. And then in the bottom of the first, the Bananas scored one run. They walked off the inning against the Party Animals, and that one run turned into a point for the Bananas. In Banana Ball, you win based on points. It is a match-style play, so you are trying to get the most runs in an inning to earn a point. And then in the final inning, which is usually the ninth, or whenever the 2-hour time limit expires, every run that is scored in that final inning counts as a point. So, through one inning of play, the Bananas are leading 1-0. And then in the second, the Party Animals scored 2 runs, but the Bananas were able to counter that and score 2 runs of their own. So even though these teams scored 2 runs in that second inning each, neither team won the inning. So it is still a 1-0 Bananas lead. You'll see it's much of the same in the third, as both teams were held scoreless. And then in the fourth, it's the Bananas once again claiming a point over the Party Animals. As they were scoreless in the top half, the Bananas scored a run in the bottom half. Now in the fifth inning, that's where you see the Party Animals get on the board. They scored 3 runs in the top of the fifth inning. The Bananas scored 0 runs in the bottom of the fifth, and so the Party Animals finally have their first point, but it's still a 2-1 Bananas lead. Now in the sixth inning, no runs were scored, no points were earned. In the seventh, you'll see the teams matched each other with a run each, so still no points have been collected since that fifth inning for the Party Animals. And then in the eighth inning, Party Animals scoreless in the top half, Bananas with another run in the bottom half. They now lead 3-1 over the Party Animals, and we reached the ninth inning before the 2-hour time limit expired. So this is the inning where every run that is scored counts as a point, and the Party Animals staged a super big rally. They had 3 runs in the ninth inning. All of them turned into points. All of a sudden, the Party Animals are leading the Bananas 4-3. But the Bananas in that bottom half were able to score 1 run. It became a point for them. So after 9 innings of play, 4 points for the Party Animals and 4 points for the Bananas. That sent us to Showdowns, and you can see here in our little Showdowns column, the Party Animals were able to score 2 points. The Bananas were only able to score 1. So our final score in this ball game wound up being a 6-5 Party Animals win over the Bananas when it comes to points. We are going to get into the actual box score itself, how everything is tracked, all of the outcomes, and how they are logged throughout the game. We're going to focus on the batting first in this, and that is all in this section of the box score right here. You have your starting lineup listed right here. Of course, you have all of the play, innings 1 through 9. And then you will see everything for each specific player that was in the ball game. Their line gets tallied up right over here. So we'll just start at the top and look at the Bananas' leadoff batter in this ball game, Dr. Meadows. Dr. was up to the plate 4 times. All of them were at-bats for Dr. So we log a 4 under his ABs column. Dr. had 1 hit in this ballgame, which you can see here in the 5th inning. It was a single, so Dr. has a 1 tallied in his singles column. He does not have anything tallied in his doubles, triples, or home runs column. Now, we will also see that Dr. did not have a steal of first for the Bananas in this ballgame. He did not have a ball force sprint either, but we see Dr. struck out in the 3rd inning. So he has a 1 under his Ks column. Dr. did not have any runs batted in the ballgame. He did not steal any bases for the Bananas. He was not hit by a pitch either. And we do not see a diamond filled in anywhere for Dr. Meadows, indicating that he scored a run in this ballgame for the Bananas. So we see a 0 under his runs column as well. Now we go down to Bill Leroy, and we see instantly he has a diamond filled in. So we see a run for Bill Leroy right over here. And Bill was up to the plate 4 times in this ballgame, but only had 3 total at-bats because this ball force sprint that we see in the 1st inning counts as a plate appearance for Bill, but it does not count as an at-bat. And there are a couple instances where you see outcomes in Banana Ball that are logged as plate appearances and not at-bats. That would be the ball force sprint. That would be a steal of first. That would be a caught stealing of first base. That would be a sacrifice fly. And we would also include hit by pitches in that as well. So Bill, outside of the ball force sprint, which we have tallied right in this column for him, was hitless in his 3 at-bats following the ball force sprint. And so Bill, nothing in his hits columns anywhere, and then we see he struck out in the 7th, so you've got a tally under the Ks column for Bill Leroy as well. Now what you'll also notice is here, right underneath Bill Leroy, Malachi Mitchell was in this game as the designated runner for Bill Leroy, and we see right over here that he ran for Bill Leroy in the 3rd inning. So we want to focus our attention to the 3rd inning section of this box score. And we'll see that Bill reached on a trick play missed from the right fielder for the Party Animals. Malachi was then inserted as his designated runner. And Malachi stole 3rd base for the Savannah Bananas, but did not score a run. So we see in the line for Malachi Mitchell here, one of his 4 stolen bases in this ballgame is logged under the stolen bases column. And then, of course, we took Malachi's stolen base in the 8th inning when he pinch ran for Eric Jones Jr. And his stolen bases from the 2nd and 7th innings when he ran for Michael Deeb, which we see right here. We just tally it all up under the 1st section here for Malachi Mitchell. The other things to note as far as the batters go, you'll see Dakota Stilts Albritton pinch hit for Ryan Cox in the 6th inning. So we've got a special line for Dakota Stilts Albritton in the box score. Unfortunately for Stilts, a tough strikeout in the ball game, but we've got him tallied under his Ks column as well as 1 at-bat in the ball game. And then you will also see that Eric Jones Jr. golden battered, or he was the golden batter, I should say, for Ryan Cox in the 9th inning of play. So for Eric Jones Jr., he had a sacrifice fly and had an RBI. Instead of logging it under this column, or under this row for Eric Jones Jr., I've decided just to tally it up with his line right up here, where he started batting in the 3-hole at first base for the Bananas. So for Eric Jones Jr., you can see I have his run batted in tallied there. I just like to keep it all together there for Eric Jones Jr. and guys if they golden batter and are already inserted into a ball game. Just so you guys have a little bit more of an understanding of our box score, for the most part, it's scored much of the same way that it would be in Major League Baseball, but we also keep a scoring key down here just to kind of indicate some of the events and things that happen in our ball game. And then for my sake, when I'm scoring, I always like to put an X over a batter when the inning ends. You see, Reese Alexiadis had the walk-off single for the Bananas in the first inning that ended the inning. So Jackson Olsen did not get to bat in the first inning. I like to put an X right there and then just be able to easily reference, okay, because I see the X right here, Olsen's going to be my first batter to bat here in the bottom of the second when the Bananas are back up on offense. Okay, we have done a pretty brief overview of the batting on our box score. So now we are going to get a look at how we total everything up for our pitchers. So our pitching section is down in this lower right-hand corner. And we'll just take a look at the Bananas starting pitcher, who is Ryan Kellogg, the first man on our first row in the box score. Ryan Kellogg threw 4 innings pitched. To make sure that we know that for certain, we'll go and look at the party animals section of the box score and just keep tabs on how many innings that Ryan Kellogg pitched across. We see that he pitched first, second, third, and fourth innings. And for Ryan Kellogg, in total, he has 2 diamonds filled in across his 4 innings of work. So he gave up 2 runs. He surrendered 6 hits. He struck out 2 batters. He gave up 1 ball 4 sprint. He did not hit any batters. He did not allow any wild pitches. And for Ryan Kellogg, because the Bananas scored points in the first and fourth innings with him on the mound, and the party animals did not score any points when he was pitching, Ryan Kellogg has 2 points earned for the Bananas. He did not lose any points for the Savannah Bananas. And then we've got Ryan Kellogg with 62 total pitches in the ballgame. We just, from a very basic standpoint, track our pitch totals here at the bottom. We'll track them inning by inning. So for instance, we look at the first inning. Ryan Kellogg threw 2 pitches to Reese Hampton and induced a ground out to third base. He threw 2 pitches to Chase Acuff, induced a trick play out to the right fielder, and then threw 7 pitches to Jake Skull, induced a ground ball right back to himself that he then threw over to the first baseman. And so the blue line designates that the inning then ended for Ryan Kellogg, and he threw 11 pitches, which we tally under this pitches per inning row. And then his minutes per inning, how long it took him to finish the inning, it was a 2-minute and 28-second first inning for Ryan Kellogg, which also happened to be the quickest inning in total of the night for the Savannah Bananas. We'll log that right here as well. For the rest of the pitchers who threw in this ballgame, of course, still tracking how many runs, hits, strikeouts, walks, or ball 4 sprints, I should say, hit by pitch, wild pitches, their points earned, their points lost, and how many pitches they threw. We've got that for the rest of the guys in the ball game. And we'll focus on a couple other key details as it pertains to showdowns, which we saw in this ball game. Now for Austin Krasminski, who threw in the final inning for the Savannah Bananas, he gave up those 3 runs that turned into points for the party animals. And for Krasminski, he also pitched in 1 round of showdowns for the Bananas as well. We can see that right down here in our little showdown section. Now, for Austin Krasminski, he recorded a showdown shutdown in his 1 opportunity. So we have a 1 logged under this stop column for Austin Krasminski. And when we look at his total pitches, we only want to track the pitches that Austin Krasminski threw in the 9th inning to the Party Animals. We are not focused on how many he threw in showdowns because we track showdown statistics separately, kind of like they are in hockey with penalty shootouts. Now we'll also see Andy Archer pitched the final 2 rounds of showdowns for the Savannah Bananas, and it's very much the same. Andy Archer had not appeared previously in this ballgame until he was in showdowns. So for Andy Archer, we are not focused on how many innings pitched he threw because showdowns technically don't really count towards an innings pitched. It's just a round of showdowns. The runs and the hits are all filed separately again, so we do not need to log any of that for Andy Archer. The only things we're focused on listing for Andy Archer in this final line, because all he did was pitch in showdowns, how many points did he earn for the Savannah Bananas? How many points did he lose for the Savannah Bananas? And if he was able to get showdown shutdowns or not. So we've looked at the Savannah Bananas portion of this box score. We will look at the Party Animals very quickly because things can get different for the visiting team. And for the Party Animals, Garrett Delano, their starter, actually threw across 5 innings in this ballgame, but he is only credited with 4 1/3 innings pitched, and that is because of the walk-offs that he allowed in the 1st inning and the 4th inning. So we see Garrett Delano completed his 2nd, 3rd, and 5th innings. So he had 3 innings pitched for the Party Animals. Then 3 1/3, he was able to record an out. 3 2/3, he was able to record 2 outs in the 1st before the walk-off scored. And then we look at the 4th as well. 4 innings now for Garrett Delano as he induced the line out to Jackson Olsen. And again, before he gave up the walk-off ball for sprint to Michael Deeb, he got 1 more out of Danny Hosley. So Garrett Delano throws across 5 innings, but he is credited with 4 1/3 innings pitched. And you'll also notice when it comes to the line for Garrett Delano, we're tallying up his pitch counts and his minutes per inning marks. When Garrett Delano gives up the walk-offs to the Savannah Bananas because he was not able to finish the inning and get 3 outs, his minutes per inning time is nullified. All right, we'll jump into the showdown section. Just really briefly, we kind of touched on it a little bit with the pitchers, but we will focus on the Bananas. We see that 3 rounds of showdowns were played in tonight's contest. The Bananas batted Eric Jones Jr., Bill Leroy, and Robert Anthony Cruz. Party Animals pitched Dylan Porter the entire time. And when it comes to the one defensive player on the diamond, Indiana Stanley was out there in the 1st round. In the 3rd round, of course, there is no defender in the 2nd round of showdowns in Banana Ball. And what we see is Dylan Porter was able to get 3 showdown shutdowns against the Bananas. That's why we see 3 stops circled when it comes to our scoring section. If the Bananas had been able to, say, get a walk-off off of Dylan Porter, if Eric Jones Jr. scores against him in the 1st inning, we would circle walk-off, and we would, of course, fill in our diamond to designate that there was a run that then translates to a point scored against the Party Animals. Okay, guys, wrapping things up by looking at where things get logged defensively as far as our trick play outs, our trick plays missed, and our errors. We keep them listed right down here. And to be able to tally up everything that we have for the Savannah Bananas and what they were able to do defensively in the ballgame, we have to refer to the Party Animals section of the box score to see what outs they hit into and whether they were trick play outs or not. So for instance, we'll see here in the 1st inning, 2nd out of the ballgame was actually a trick play out recorded by the right fielder, 9 on the diamond. You see the star indicating that the trick play was made. So you see the F9, trick play out. You see that Robert Anthony Cruz was the man in right field for the Savannah Bananas that night. And in our trick play outs row, you'll see Robert Anthony Cruz labeled. So you see 1 trick play there for Robert Anthony Cruz. We've got a couple other guys behind him who all recorded one trick play in this ballgame: Ryan Kellogg, Ryan Cox, Bill Roy, and Jackson Olsen. And then for DR Meadows and Eric Jones Jr., both of those guys had multiple trick plays in the ballgame for the Savannah Bananas. We see DR's trick play in the 4th inning, a trick play from DR in the 6th inning, and then what do you know? He had back-to-back trick plays in the 6th inning for the Savannah Bananas. So 3 trick plays in the game for DR Meadows. We list his name towards the front. We put in parentheses a 3 behind it to indicate he had 3 in the ballgame. And for Eric Jones Jr., he had 2 trick plays for the Savannah Bananas. Fortunately for the boys, they did not miss any trick plays in the ballgame that night. If they had, it would have been very much the same as how we list them right here under this trick play outs row. And Danny Hosley did commit 1 error in the ballgame for the Savannah Bananas. It was here in the 5th inning, as you see the E5. So we'll write Danny Hosley's name there in the errors department. And then you see it's just rinse and repeat for the Party Animals as well. Fewer trick plays in the ballgame, but you see Skull and Acuff were 2 guys who missed trick plays for them, so their names are listed, and then Dustin Baber, the only man to make an error for them as well. So from there, we've got our box score pretty much filled out, completed. We've signed off on it and everything. And so from our end, once this aspect is completed, then we can transfer everything that is on that sheet into our Excel spreadsheet. And we're going to go to that section now. Okay, here we go. This is where the magic happens in my world. We have reached the portion where we transfer everything in our box scores into this handy dandy, super great Excel spreadsheet, which we have put together. We're just going to focus, I think, on logging some of the things for the Savannah Bananas, and hopefully I can fully encapsulate everything that would possibly need to be logged in the ballgame. So we'll just start. We'll overview of our main page, which you can see here. Of course, every player is listed with their current season stats. We are looking at our spreadsheet after the 13th of September. So everything's been logged up until this game that we are about to log. You see everything is totaled up here at the bottom for the entire team. And it is very much the same here from the pitching side as well. You see every player with their specific stats logged in this row, and then everything totaled up for the entire team as well here in this little totals row. Now, what is also really great about this spreadsheet is that we have included this handy dandy key for you guys to know the abbreviations for everything that happens in Banana Ball. Some things much more important than others. And then we also keep track of a couple other factors in this section right over here. Some tour totals, some tour averages and whatnot to help us with our normalized stats that we track in this spreadsheet as well. So we'll go back to this stats main page, and honestly, I think it is time to just jump right into things and start to log our banana statistics. And we will just start with DR Meadows, the man who batted leadoff for the Savannah Bananas in our game on the 14th of September. And to log for DR Meadows, we want to go right down here to this DR Meadows tab. You will see everything is logged game by game. You will see all the way back on our opening night on February the 8th. And now we will find our game here, September the 14th. It is time to log our stuff for DR Meadows. So, DR Meadows played in this game, indicated by the G column. We will log a 1 for DR Meadows. The R stands for the run score. DR, of course, did not score any runs in this ballgame. We will keep that at a 0. DR did have 1 hit, and it was a single, so we will give him a 1 in the H column. And DR had no extra base hits. He had no doubles, no triples, no home runs, so we'll keep all those at 0. He also did not have any runs batted in. We'll leave that at a 0 as well. Same thing goes for the ball four sprints. Nothing there for DR Meadows. He did not have any walk-offs in the ball game. He did not steal first base, but he did strike out one time, so we will give DR a strikeout. DR did not steal any bases. He was not caught stealing. He was not caught stealing first base either. And then no sac flies for DR Meadows, no sacrifice hits. He was not hit by a pitch. He did not ground into any double plays. DR was not a golden batter in tonight's ball game, so we won't list him under golden batters. And again, how many total plate appearances did DR Meadows have in our ball game? We see on our box score, DR batted 4 times in this game. So we'll log a 4 for DR Meadows. It instantly will give him 4 at-bats as well. A really nice feature of this. It will also calculate his average slugging percentage and OBP automatically, as well as his total bases. Anything that is in the spreadsheet is bolded. I never overwrite. The formulas are doing their work for me. So DR had 4 plate appearances. In this BO with the number sign, that's batting order. So DR was the leadoff man. He batted first, so we'll give him a 1. We also like to just keep track of where they started on the diamond. DR was the banana center fielder, so we'll put a little CF for DR. And then NP, we want to know how many pitches DR Meadows saw in total in his plate appearances. So we'll quickly refer to our box score and look at who DR Meadows faced across the night. He was the first batter to face off against Garrett Delano. DR only saw 1 pitch against Delano. He faced off against Delano again in the third, was the first batter to face him. 4 pitches for DR Meadows. He now has 5 total pitches that he's seen in the ball game. He was the second batter against Garrett Delano in the 5th inning and saw 3 pitches. So now DR has seen 8 total pitches in tonight's ball game. And then you'll see DR, third batter to face off against Ryan Rodriguez in the 7th. 5 more pitches that DR Meadows saw. So we'll log 13 total pitches for DR Meadows in this ball game. And of course, that's where you see the formula do its magic a little bit. And so DR, he averaged 3.25 pitches per plate appearance across the night. Really handy for us to be able to see. We'll look at our GO and AO. That stands for ground outs and air outs or fly outs, however you want to see it. DR had 1 ground out and 1 fly out. So we'll give DR a 1 in each column. He did not foul out to a fan, so we will not put a 1 under there at all. And DR did not reach on an error or a trick play missed in tonight's ball game, so we will not give DR anything in that column as well. Final thing to focus on for DR over here, how many trick plays did he have, our OTP. It can also be abbreviated TPO, which honestly I think we should probably change going forward. Did he have any trick plays missed, indicated in this column? And did he have any errors? And we saw earlier when we looked at our box score, DR had 3 trick plays in this ballgame. So we'll put a 3 for DR Meadows. He did not have any trick plays missed. He did not have any errors. Now, if he had, we would put a 1, but we do not have to in this case for DR Meadows. And there you have it. We have logged the line for DR Meadows through the night. And in this main portion of the spreadsheet, it has already updated DR Meadows season totals at the same time. So that's really great for us to be able to see. All right, back to DR Meadows, and we'll just go ahead and log for Bill Leroy as well, and log for Malachi Mitchell. I don't think that we're going to log lines for every single player in this ballgame, but hopefully I'll just be able to hit every single highlight, so you guys will be able to see one instance of everything in this exercise. But on to Bill Leroy. He was the second batter in this ballgame. Of course, we find his line on the 14th of September. We'll log him for a game played. We saw Bill Leroy had 1 run scored in the ballgame, so we'll give him a 1 under this column. But Bill had no hits for the Savannah Bananas. No doubles, no triples, no home runs either. Did not have a run batted in for the Bananas. And we saw Bill had a ball force sprint. So this is where we get to see how things get logged when it comes to ball force sprints in this Excel spreadsheet. Bill had 1 ball force sprint. We have logged it right here under the SP. We'll log all of the total sprints that a player has in one game under this SP. And from there, we also just want to log whether it was a ball force sprint of first, a ball force sprint of second, a ball force sprint of third, or a ball force sprint that actually resulted in him scoring. And Bill, in our box score, has a 2 by his ball force sprint. So we can see Bill got a 2-base sprint. So his 1 ball force sprint in this game was a 2-base sprint. Now, if Bill had 2 sprints, we would give him a 2 under his SP counter, or column, I should say. And if he had a sprint of first and a sprint of second, he would have 1 tally in each of these columns. But we'll just go back and put Bill's regular line. Just wanted you guys to see what it would be like if there was a player who drew multiple sprints in a ball game and had 1 result in a sprint of first, 1 result in a sprint of second. Just had different outcomes there on a ball force sprint. Same would apply for, of course, a 3-base or 4-base sprint. Bill did not have a walk-off in this ball game for the Bananas. He did not steal first base. He did strike out 1 time and had no stolen bases, was not caught stealing anywhere. Did not have any sac flies, sac hits, was not hit by a pitch. So we'll just jump straight to his total plate appearances. We see Bill, he had 4 total plate appearances in this ball game. We'll give him a 4, and you see in the at-bats column, Bill winds up with 3 of them. The spreadsheet is already doing the work for us, knowing that a ball force sprint only is logged as a plate appearance and not an at-bat. So it's done the subtraction for us. And the same would be true if Bill had been hit by a pitch, for instance, in this ball game. If I put a 1 right here, Bill will now go down to 2 total at-bats in this ball game. It logged it as another plate appearance for Bill. Again, in the batting order, Bill batted second. He was the starting catcher, so we'll put a C. We will log the number of pitches he saw. You already saw how that works with DR Meadows. Don't have to go into more detail there. Bill did not ground out throughout his night. He did fly out once. He did not foul out to a fan, but he reached on a trick play missed in the 3rd inning. We log reached on errors and reaching on trick play missed together, as they're very, very similar. So we'll put a 1 in the column for Bill Leroy when it comes to reaching on an error. And then Bill Leroy also had a trick play in the ballgame for the Savannah Bananas, so we'll give him a 1 in his trick play column as well. Now we will move on to Malachi Mitchell. We see him listed under Bill Leroy in the box score. We enter him in for pinch running. So we'll give Malachi 1 in his games played. And we'll look at our final line down over here in the tallies. Of course, we saw Mitchell run 4 times in this ball game. Once for Bill, once for Eric Jones Jr., and twice for Michael Deeb. And we see 2 diamonds, 1 in the 8th and 1 in the 7th for Malachi Mitchell, indicating he scored 2 runs. And we also have him listed down for 4 stolen bases in the ballgame as well. So we've got those 2 things in for Malachi Mitchell. He did not bat in the ballgame, so we don't have to worry about listing him for total plate appearances. And he was not anywhere in the batting order either. And we don't really need to designate in this little position section that he was the designated runner. We usually just like to reserve that section for the guys who started at positions for the Bananas. We will move on to the man who batted 3rd for the Bananas in this ballgame, Eric Jones Jr. We'll log him a game played as well. And then for Eric Jones Jr., we see the diamond filled in But that run, of course, was scored by Malachi Mitchell. We see that he did run in the 8th inning, so we won't log it for EJ. It's already been logged for Malachi Mitchell. But the single is still credited for Eric Jones Jr., so we'll give him a hit there. He did not have any extra base hits. We'll leave that section blank. And for Eric Jones Jr., we mentioned when we were going through the box score section, he was the golden batter in the 9th inning for the Savannah Bananas. So he had a sacrifice fly and a run batted in. So we'll tally 1 RBI for Eric Jones Jr. He did not have a ball four sprint in the ball game. He also did not collect any walk-offs for the Bananas in the game. And we see here in the 5th inning, Eric Jones Jr. stole first base for the Savannah Bananas. So we're going to log 1 steal of first for Eric Jones Jr. You see that -1 in the at-bats column right here. Again, spreadsheet starting to do the work for us, recognizing that is a plate appearance and not an at-bat in the ball game for Eric Jones Jr. Now he's stolen first base for the Bananas. We saw he struck out in the 1st inning. We give him a tally there. Now his steals of first also count towards his stolen base total in the ball game. So Eric Jones Jr., because he stole first base, had a stolen base in the ball game for the Bananas. So he's got his 1. Now if Eric Jones Jr. stole first base for the Savannah Bananas and then proceeded to steal second right after, Eric Jones Jr. would have 2 stolen bases in the ball game because that steal of first base counts towards his overall total in the ball game. Eric Jones Jr. not caught stealing first base. We saw that EJ had the sacrifice fly as the golden batter, so we'll tally an SF right there. And again, not an at-bat, a plate appearance. You now see the negative, or the -2 showing up for EJ. He did not have any sacrifice hits, was not hit by a pitch, did not ground into any double plays. And EJ, he was the golden batter, so we want to make sure that we log him golden battering in that ball game for the Bananas. And then EJ batting 4 times in this ball game, 1 extra time because he was the golden batter. So 5 total plate appearances for Eric Jones Jr., 3 total at-bats. When you take out the sacrifice fly, his steal of first. EJ batted 3rd in this contest for the Bananas. Manned the first base position. We could log his number of pitches. Again, we have seen what that looks like. And for Eric Jones Jr., did not ground out in this ball game, but flew out twice. He flew out in the 3rd inning, and he flew out on his sacrifice fly. We do want to make sure that we log that sacrifice fly in his total air outs or fly out section. So we've got a 2 for Eric Jones Jr. Not foul out to a fan. He did not reach on an error or a trick play missed. And then Eric Jones Jr. had 2 trick plays in this ball game for the Bananas. So we will give him a 2. Now, I'll just use EJ to get into the foul outs to a fan section very quickly. If EJ's fly out to first in the 3rd inning had, let's say, been a foul out to a fan in the stands and they had caught it, it would be a fly out for Eric Jones Jr. still. We would want to make sure that we record that in this fly out section right here. And we would also want to make sure in this fan column that we have a 1 logged there for Eric Jones Jr. All right, we move right along to Reselecciones. There's an outcome here that is going to be very useful to show in the spreadsheet as well. So again, Reselecciones played in this game. We'll put a 1 next to him. Reese did not score a run, but did have a single in the 1st inning. And on that single, he had no other extra base hits in the game. He had a run batted in for the Savannah Bananas. He had no ball four sprints in the ball game. And Reselecciones, on that RBI single in the 1st, walked off the inning and earned the Bananas a point in the game. So we want to make sure that in this column, with WO standing for walk-off, we log 1 walk-off for Reselecciones if he'd had 2 walk-off hits, or a walk-off single and a walk-off ball four sprint. We'd give him 2, but Reselecciones just with 1 walk-off in this game for the Bananas. Did not steal first base or steal any bases for that matter. He did strike out twice in the game for the Bananas. Had no fun stuff over here in the sacrifice hit by pitch, ground into double play column, anything like that. Was not the golden batter. And for Rhys Alexiadis, 4 total plate appearances, all of them at bats, as our spreadsheet has showed us. And Alexiadis batted in the cleanup spot. He was the man in the 4-hole for the Bananas. He was the extra hitter, so put a little EH in that position column. We'll, of course, refer to our box score, find all the pitch counts that he saw across his 4 plate appearances, add those up. And for Rhys Alexiadis, outside of the 2 strikeouts, he flew out to right field. So 1 fly out for Rhys Alexiadis in this column, and then did not foul it to a fan, did not reach on an error or a trick play missed. And no trick plays missed, no errors for Rhys Alexiadis. We're going to jump actually over Jackson Olsen, I think, and just move right on to Robert Anthony Cruz, as his section's going to be a little more helpful. Show you guys another thing that we have to concern ourselves when it comes to this spreadsheet. So Robert Anthony Cruz in this ball game. We look at the line for rec. 2 diamonds drawn in, so he scored 2 runs for the Bananas. Also had 2 hits. Both of them were singles. Now let's suppose one of these hits was an extra base hit. Let's say Rack, one of his 2 hits was a home run. We would just make sure to put a 1 in the home run column. And you see in this TB column that stands for total bases, it's going to give him the 4 bases for his home run in the ball game, as well as his 1 base for his single. Now, of course, Rack only had 2 singles, so go right back down to his 2 total bases in the ball game for the Bananas. Rack had no sprints, did not collect any walk-offs for the Bananas, did not steal first base, did not strike out either. But what we do see in the 6th inning, Robert Anthony Cruz tried to steal first base and was caught stealing. So we need to give Robert Anthony Cruz a 1 in the CS1B column. There you see, it is logged as a plate appearance and not as an at-bat for Robert Anthony Cruz. And because he was caught stealing first base, that counts again, just like it does for the steal of first and stolen bases. It counts towards his total times that he was caught stealing in the ball game for the Bananas. So you would need to give him a caught stealing in the ball game as well. Now we move on. Nothing fun when it comes to sacrifice flies, hit by pitch, grounding into a double play, golden batter. Robert Anthony Cruz up to the plate 4 times. He batted 6th in the ball game for the Bananas. He was the right fielder in the game. And then we see for Robert Anthony Cruz, the only other out that he made was a ground out to the first baseman. We'll give him a 1 in GO. It does kind of spark some curiosity that maybe in the future there is an extra tab after this GO and AO section before this fan section, where in addition to the groundouts and flyouts that we log, we would also just want to see how many of them were trick plays. How many were trick plays against that batter could be a fascinating stat to add. For instance, Robert Anthony Cruz ground out was a trick play that was made by the first baseman. We might want to see that Robert Anthony Cruz also hit into 1 trick play out in this ballgame and have that counting set of who's hitting into the most trick play outs across an entire World Tour. We also saw Robert Anthony Cruz had a trick play in the ballgame for the Bananas, so we'll give him a 1 under his OTP column as well. Now we'll move on to Ryan Cox really quick. We want to look at this section because Ryan Cox had a couple guys who batted for him later in the ballgame. So for Ryan Cox, obviously had a game played. Ryan Cox had a base hit in the ballgame, did not score a run. We log his 1 there. We move right along. We see Ryan Cox actually had a sacrifice fly in the 2nd as well, so we can't forget to give him an RBI. And we'll move all the way down to the SF column. Make sure we give Ryan Cox a 1 there. Ryan Cox only had 2 plate appearances in the game, so we give him a 2. He batted 8th. He was the shortstop. We put a little SS. And then again, we don't want to forget that fly out or that sacrifice fly that was also a fly out for Ryan Cox. We'll put our 1 right there under the AO section. And then we'll give him his 1 trick play that occurred in the ball game. Now from there, we see in the box score underneath Ryan Cox, in the 6th inning, Dakota Stilts Albritton batted for him. So we will go to the section for Dakota Albritton right down here. Come to the 14th of September, we'll log the game for Stilts. We know that in his only at-bat, he struck out for the Bananas, so we'll put a 1 under the SO column. Go down to the total plate appearances column as well, and put a 1. Now, because Dakota Stilts Albritton only pinch hit, did not start this game in the batting order at a specific position, we can leave the 0 here in the BO section. We do not have to put anything in his position. Honestly, we could log if we wanted to that he pinch hit in this ball game, but really not tracking stats pinch hitting too closely yet. Maybe in a league standpoint we would like to. Just discussions that I think we need to have. But for Dakota Stilts Albritton, we've logged just about everything except the number of pitches that he saw when he struck out against Brady Keiss. He was the last batter to face him in the 6th. He saw 4 pitches, and there you see 4 pitches per plate appearance for Dakota Stilts Albritton in that ball game. It's very much the same down here when we look at the guys who were in the 10 spot for the Savannah Bananas. Ty Jackson, of course, drew that start and only had 1 plate appearance, and he flew out to left field. So we'll give Ty his 1 plate appearance. We'll make sure to say that he batted in the 10th spot, that he was the starting left fielder. In his lone plate appearance, he saw 2 pitches against Garrett Delano. We'll put that under NP. And, of course, he flew out to left field. So everything there for Ty Jackson. And then in the 5th, Brandon Crosby entered the game and played left for the remainder of the game. So we'll go to Brandon Crosby's tab, make sure that we've logged him for a game. Crosby struck out in both of his plate appearances. So give him 2 strikeouts. Make sure to give him 2 plate appearances. Again, he did not start the ball game for the Bananas. We don't need to put him in the 10 or put a 10 in the BO section for the Bananas. We also really don't need to include the position either. All we would need to do, again, is calculate the number of pitches that he saw, which would be 6 against Garrett Delano in the 5th inning, and then 5 against Ryan Rodriguez in the 7th inning, so 11 total pitches Brandon Crosby saw across his 2 total plate appearances. We have logged what I think is pretty much everything when it comes to the offensive statistics in this spreadsheet. I think you guys got to see. We'll go back just really quickly and suppose that Brandon Crosby only struck out once, and in that other plate appearance, he was hit by a pitch. You would see Brandon Crosby, again, 2 plate appearances, only 1 at bat. Again, the spreadsheet doing the work, making sure to log the hit by pitch as a plate appearance. And you would see also Crosby with a 500 on base percentage despite a 0 batting average, as the hit by pitch helps boost his on base percentage but does not help or hurt his batting average in the ball game for the Bananas. So now we've covered everything when it comes to logging for offensive statistics and even trick plays and trick plays missed and the errors. And now we will move on to looking at our pitcher statistics and how those get logged. Okay, we have reached the pitching portion of updating our Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. You can see we are going to start with the Bananas starting pitcher in this ball game, Ryan Kellogg. And you see we've got his batting section all over here, very similar to what we saw for the Bananas. But what we're focused on, we got to scroll over just a little bit, and now we are on the pitching side of things, where all of those handy-dandy stats get logged and updated. So for Ryan Kellogg in this ball game, he did not earn the win, did not earn the loss in the game for the Bananas. We do not need to log anything in these two columns. Ryan Kellogg did pitch in the ball game, so we want to make sure we log him in the G section. And he was the starter, so we'll log him under GS as well for games started. Ryan Kellogg did not throw a complete game. Don't have to put anything there. Did not throw a shutout for the Bananas. And, of course, was not in any kind of save situation for the Bananas either. And what we know, Ryan Kellogg threw 4 innings for the Bananas. We'll put 4 right there. And in terms of hits, Ryan Kellogg gave up 6 hits. He gave up 2 runs. And when we go and reference our box score, we see that there were no trick plays missed, no errors behind Ryan Kellogg, nothing that led to these runs being unearned for Ryan Kellogg. Both of the runs that the Party Animals scored in their second inning were earned against Kellogg. So the 2 runs are both earned for Ryan Kellogg. If there had been a trick play missed or something that led to only 1 run being earned for Kellogg, we would obviously just put a 1 there, and you would see the ERA that we have a formula for being worked on. It updates accordingly for Ryan Kellogg. He did not surrender a home run in this ballgame for the Bananas. We do not need to put anything there in the home runs. He did not hit a batter. He did allow 1 sprint, so we'll put a 1 in that column for Ryan Kellogg. And he struck out 2 batters, so we want to make sure we put 2 under SO. There were no wild pitches for Ryan Kellogg. He did not pick off any batters. He did not allow any intentional walks. He did not surrender any walk-offs. Of course, that's the case because he was pitching for the home team. So the pitchers of the home team cannot give up any walk-offs to begin with. And again, Ryan Kellogg, he earned 2 points on the pitcher's mound. So we'll put 2 under the PE column. And the Party Animals did not score any points against him, so we will not put anything right here for Ryan Kellogg. If they had been able to score a point against him, we, of course, would put a 1 there for Ryan Kellogg. This SDS and SDO are the little bit of Showdown statistics that we do like to track in this main Excel spreadsheet. But Ryan Kellogg was not the man pitching in Showdowns for the Bananas, so don't have to update anything there. You see we have a formula calculating our SHIP, Banana Ball's version of WHIP, which stands for sprints and hits allowed per inning pitched. Under GO, we want to see how many groundouts, and under AO, we want to see how many air outs that Ryan Kellogg induced in the ballgame. So we'll look back at our box score. Ryan Kellogg had groundouts against Reese Hampton, Jake Skoll, Bryson Bloomer, Dustin Baber, Jake Skoll, and Tanner Thomas. So Ryan Kellogg induced 6 groundouts. We'll put a 6 under the GO column. And then when it comes to flyouts, Chase Acuff flew out. Chase Acuff flew out yet again. Bryson Bloomer flew out, and Jason Swan flew out. So 4 air outs or flyouts that Ryan Kellogg induced. Had Jason Swan, instead of fouling out to the catcher here, fouled out to a fan, would still log that as a flyout that Ryan Kellogg induced. We would also make sure that we log it as a fan out that he induced. We love tracking and seeing which pitchers are inducing the most foul outs to fans across the season. So if that were the case, we would keep a 1 in this column for Ryan Kellogg. But of course, that did not happen throughout the ball game. Look back at our box score, 62 total pitches for Ryan Kellogg. Put that under his NP column. And the BF, how many batters faced? How many total batters did Ryan Kellogg face in the ball game? You'll see he faced the order once, so 10 batters. Faced 15 through 3 innings of play and through 4 innings pitched. Ryan Kellogg faced 19 total batters. So we'll put a 19 there for Ryan Kellogg. Our spreadsheet keeps track, has formulas to see how many pitches he averaged per inning pitched. What was his strikeout to ball four sprint ratio, which you can see 2-1. And then right over here is where we want to make sure that we track our MPIs throughout the game for Ryan Kellogg, of course. We've got the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and ninth innings for Ryan Kellogg. Now, he only pitched the first 4 innings for the Bananas, so we only want to put the MPI times for Kellogg in those 4 frames. So he had a 2-minute and 28-second first inning, a 6-minute and 38-second second inning, in the third, 4 minutes and 16 seconds, and in the fourth, 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Now, because he did not pitch any of these other innings, we just want to go ahead, take all of those out of the equation. Ryan Kellogg did not appear in these 2 games for the Bananas. We'll take out those as well. And you can see across Ryan Kellogg's 4 innings of work, his average minutes per inning time in that ball game was 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And you can also see if I take out all of these zeros and say this is the last game that Ryan Kellogg pitches in across the season, we have Ryan Kellogg's averages in every inning across the tour. That all comes down in this section that I have highlighted. So he averaged 4 minutes across the first innings all tour long. And then you see here in September of 2024, Ryan Kellogg's average MPIs in the first inning was 5 minutes and 43 seconds. And then you see, all in all, across the entire season, Ryan Kellogg's average MPI time was 4 minutes and 8 seconds. So you've got all that for Ryan Kellogg. What I'll also do is look at this CM 149 cell. I want to make sure that on this main page, I can easily reference Ryan Kellogg's season MPI to date. So for Kellogg, I will go right here. As you can see, I've got a formula averaging his MPIs across the entire season. I'll take out that 146, put in the 149, and there you have it. Ryan Kellogg's MPI actually didn't really change. He was very much on par with his season average. So the 4 minute and 8 second average MPI he was rocking before that start stays the same after his start as well. So I will usually update that for whoever appears in a ball game. Probably jump into Austin Krasminski. We'll get towards the end of this. It's very much rinse and repeat for the rest of the pitchers from here on out. But there's some interesting things to focus on with Austin Krasminski. A couple things that I can also get into in this ball game. Austin Krasminski did not earn the win, did not earn the loss either in this ball game, so we won't log anything under the W or L columns. Krasminski appeared in the game, but did not start it, so we won't give Austin Krasminski a tally under the GS column. Of course, no complete game, no shutouts. Now, Austin Krasminski did enter in a save situation and was not successful for the Bananas, so we won't give him a save under this column. But he had a save opportunity and blew it, so we want to make sure that we tally a 1 under the SVO column. Krasminski pitched in 1 inning of work for the Savannah Bananas. We'll make sure that we put a 1 there. And just a little additional note that I should add when we're looking at the innings pitched section for pitchers. If Austin Krasminski had not been able to complete the entire inning, if he had only been able to pitch a third of an inning or 2/3 of an inning, although in the spreadsheet, or not in the spreadsheet, in the box score, I would write the line as something like 0.2 for Austin Krasminski to indicate 2/3 of an innings pitched. Excel does not necessarily understand that like the box score does. I have to make sure that I transfer what would be 0.2 here in the spreadsheet to a 0.67. Or in the same vein, if he only had a third of an inning pitched, I'd have to put a 0.33 for Austin Krzyminski. Again, Austin did finish his 1 inning of work, so I can overwrite that, put it back to 1 inning. Now for Krem, he gave up 5 hits, put a 5 under the H tally, gave up 3 runs. We will refer to our box score to see if they were all earned runs, which we see they were. No errors, no trick plays missed, none of that stuff. So 3 earned runs for Krem. Did not allow a home run, did not hit any batters, did not allow a sprint. Struck out 1 batter, so we'll tally that. No wild pitches, no pickoffs. And we look at Austin Krzyminski's line. Now we know he gave up 3 runs to the party animals, and they all turned into points as well. So need to make sure under this PL column, we give Austin Krzyminski 3 points lost for the Bananas. And then here in the 9th inning, Krem was still the man who gets credited for the 1 point and run that the Bananas scored in the 9th. So we still get to give him 1 point earned for the Savannah Bananas. Krem, we also saw pitched in Showdowns. He pitched in round 1, got the Showdown shutdown of Reese Hampton. So the SDS stands for Showdown shutdown. We'll give Krem a 1. And he only had 1 opportunity, so he was 1 for 1 in his Showdown opportunities. And then Krem induced 1 ground out, 1 fly out, so we'll give him a 1 in each column. No foul outs to fans. Threw 23 pitches in that 9th inning, and he faced 8 total batters in the 9th inning. Of course, the Showdown statistics are filed separately, just outside of Showdown shutdown and Showdown opportunities. And of course, we're not concerned with MPIs in Showdowns either, but Austin Krzyminski's 9th inning lasted 8 minutes and 13 seconds. We'll log that, get rid of everything else, get rid of the zeros from the games he didn't pitch in. And then again, we would go back to our main page. CM 149 is the most recent value for Krem when it comes to his MPI. And you see his 8-minute and 13-second inning made his season MPI rise from a 4-minute, 35-second average to 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And if I took away all of the zeros here on Krem's page, and we look at that season average right down there, 4 minutes and 40 seconds for Krem. So we are doing good. Final thing that we want to look at is, of course, what happens with Andy Archer. The man who only pitches in Showdowns, does not pitch in any of the regular 9 innings. Now for Andy, he was unfortunately the man saddled with the loss in this ball game for the Savannah Bananas. So did not earn the win, but did earn the loss. And for Andy, appeared in the game. We will log him as pitching in the ball game, but we will not credit him with any innings on the mound. No hits, no runs, no earned runs, none of that, because the Showdown stats are once again separate. So what we need to do is just make sure that we log Andy Archer when it comes to the Showdowns. Andy had 2 shutdowns, actually in 2 opportunities. Kind of interesting that he lost the game, but even though he gets the shutdown because he kept the Party Animals from scoring all 4 runs possible in the 3rd round of Showdowns, they still scored 2 against him. And then when the Bananas came up to bat, they only scored 1 run, which translated into a point in the 3rd round of Showdowns. So the Party Animals still wound up scoring more points than the Bananas and won that ball game. So Andy Archer, 2 for 2 in Showdowns. Just an unfortunate, tough loss for Andy. And he did earn 1 point and lost 2 points for the Savannah Bananas. We don't have to concern ourselves with his ground outs, his fly outs, his pitch count, how many batters he faced. And of course, MPIs are not something that are recorded in Showdowns as well. So we can just clear out that section for Andy Archer. And I think that has pretty much been an overview of how we would log things for the different pitchers in Banana Ball. Hopefully this has been a good overview of how we log things for batters, how we log things for everybody defensively, and how we log things for pitchers. If you guys have any questions about this spreadsheet whatsoever, this video, please feel free to contact me, highlight whatever section you have the questions about. I'll go look through it, try and provide the answers that I can, and just continue to make this a very collaborative and helpful process so that we can keep accomplishing this goal of launching Banana Ball stats to the public and everything. Really excited for you guys to get to look at this video. Hope it hasn't been too long-winded. Just hope that it's been very comprehensive, very detailed, and hopefully exactly what you guys are looking for. So, as always, looking forward to our meetings, talking more with all of you guys, and thank you.